Hello, this is Dennis Chambers. Want to talk about some music points to go over, especially with the younger players. Sometimes I go out to some clubs, all over the country, just to check out to see what's going on, what's the scene like, and I walk away from it, like not feeling anything because nobody sit and played any music. These days. Everybody, or not everybody, but most of the younger guys, they're sitting playing a lot of chops. Every time there's a hole, they feel like they have to fill it up. Well, there's nothing wrong with, like, when you play some music and there's some space, let space be space. Because sometimes, you find out, like, by being space, you allowing somebody else to breathe, the bass player to play a certain way, which cause you go down a different alley sometimes. But if you're sitting there, trying to fill up the spaces all the time, man, it's non-music. There's no music there anymore. And a lot of times when I do clinics, I sit there and I'll cut my neck, bleed in the bucket, with the chop things, because that's what the clinics are for. But then when I go back and tell people what make me work the way I do, knock on wood, which I don't have any. Well, here's some wood. To knock on wood, what makes me work, it wasn't the chops. It was all about, like, how do you support a band when you sit down and you're playing in the rhythm section, whether it was like, 3-piece, 4-piece, P-Funk cases, it was like maybe 16, or 15 people, whatever. Or it's, playing in Steely Dan's band, how do I make that feel good, It wasn't the chops. It was the feel, it was an attitude, it was the love, it was the care and to sit down and be disciplined enough to lay down those grooves, or to be an aid. It's like an aid on put a Band-Aid on a hole. Well, the drummer's chair was being the aid to a hole. That's what made Steve Gadd work the way he did for a long period of time. I mean, the guy was like on every recording, he played with everybody from A to Z, based upon, this guy, he was like all about feel. You put on a record, our time, today's time, you put on a CD, and when you hit play, the first 2 bars, you feel something when Steve Gadd plays. 2 bars. And some of the guys who copied him from that, you could play a whole record, didn't feel anything. And some of these guys ended up being drummers, based upon how the listener perceived them. And reality is like every drummer's drummer end up doing a lot of recordings. I played on a lot of recordings, not to toot my own horn, but Steve Gadd, Billy Cobham, Roy Haynes, Tony Williams, Clyde Stubblefield, David Gribaldi, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But when people make people to be like these drum gods or drum gurus, and you listen to them and it's like, man, I don't feel nothing from it. And the reason why he's not playing on a lot of records is because you can't fool a musician's a musician. They're going to sit there and listen to you play, and they're going to like, nah, man, he don't have it. Like Miles Davis used to say, I'm not feeling this suit. He put on he's wearing the right things, but you don't feel it. And the feeling is really important, to all of this. And that's what make you work. I can go on tour, and it was one period of time where I would like go do a tour with one band, immediately go home for a day or 2, and then I have to go to South America to start a tour with another band. And I was like always on the road like that. Then I would like try to like shut it down, like cut the whole thing down and say I'm not doing any work, from this time period to the next time period. But guess what? I end up in the studio anyway. So I just want to say that, and I think it's very, very important, when you walk up on a bandstand, the most important thing when you sit and play an instrument, whether it's keyboards, bass, guitar, any instrument, the most important thing of doing that is like you have to sit and listen to what's going on around you. If you're not listening to what's going on around you, as Bruce Lee would say, you miss all of the heavenly glory, watching the finger. Well, it's true in music. What like when you sit and you hear Herbie Hancock or Return to Forever or Mahavishnu, James Brown or Tower Power, when you sit there and you listen to them play live and you're trying to figure out like, how are they doing this? What make them sound the way they sound? Is because everybody has, a part in the project, and they're all like listening to each other. It's not like I walk up on a bandstand and I know who I am. I'm Dennis Chambers, so therefore I'm just going to be Dennis Chambers. It's the Dennis Chambers night. No. When you walk into a studio, for the readers, for some guys, when they learned that I don't read music for the first time working with them, they hand me the chart, and the chart says drums. It don't say Steve Gadd. It don't say Billy Cobham. It don't have the name on the thing. It just says drums, which meant anybody can do this if they can read it. Any drummer can do it if he read it. Now, reading is one thing, doing it, but you still got to put feeling behind it. And that's when you have to use your ears, because you have to listen to what's going on. Anyway, this is Dennis Chambers, sharing a bit of information with you.